Stuttering John has played many practical jokes on Baba Booey.
Let's see, the stealing of the Gary puppet.
Gary took the Gary puppet to an appearance. Lo and behold, Stuttering John stole it, and I had told Gary, don't you lose that puppet, because I love that puppet more than I love you.
Right, the puppet was pretty much new at the time, and
very popular.
You made it clear that you didn't want anything to happen to this puppet.
No, I didn't.
And now
and John went and stole it, and Gary had a heart attack all weekend.
On top of that, ever since the puppet's been a has-been.
Right.
And then John had a stockbroker call and say that I lost all my money.
Right, which was a real good one. So Gary said, I really want to get John. And Gary came to me, he says, I'm going to fire John. He goes, I know it's not funny, but I want to fire him and watch that bastard squirm. I said, all right, I'm in. What do I got to do? He says, you just get on the air and say you're mad at John, which I did.
Effectively.
Effectively.
Yeah, because the second you said it, John was in a funk.
Right. So John was bumming out all the show yesterday after I said I was mad at him.
Right, yeah, because you put the final touches on it yesterday.
And John knows I actually am mad at him. On some level.
Yeah.
Well, that's
John's always conniving and scheming behind my back.
I'm not conniving, but that's why it was so effective, because I know you've been upset with all this Howard Stern show crew and all.
So Gary hauls John in after the show. Gary has like a little 10-minute meeting with me to make like we had a discussion. And he calls John into the room.
Kathy calls me first and goes, Gary wants you to stay here before you leave because he needs to talk to you before you leave. So I'm like, oh no.
You do something bad.
Yeah, I'm like,
you didn't think you were going to get fired.
That's like the principal thing.
Well, I started getting I'm sweating, I was freaking out.
But you didn't think you were going to be fired.
Well, yeah, I thought it was either that or just another another dose of another way of being reprimanded.
Well, you also said something yesterday about cleaning house. Gary was going to do some house cleaning.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Yeah. So you fell for it too, Robin.
I didn't fall for anything.
Oh,
she was hoping it was real.
Real fire.
Great.
All right, so here we go. So here, Gary brings John into the room, and,
Now, this happened in the Jock Lounge because I kept seeing the door closed.
Yeah. We had a hidden camera in those big speakers that we keep on the floor.
Oh.
And the premise was that, John had some wacky book proposal going around in his name that had my name all over it. And I had caught wind of it. For real. And I got really pissed off about it. So Gary went in there to say, hey, it turns out that the book proposal showed its ugly head again somewhere. And basically Gary was sent in by me to be fired. Because I didn't want to fire him. I didn't want to fire John myself. It would be too painful. So Gary was going to do it.
Gary's your hatchet man.
Right.
And Gary played it really well, because he was almost looked like he was going to cry too.
All right, well, here we go. He was upset for you.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
And Gary had said to me, listen, after I fire him, let's not tell him for a couple of days. I said, you want to know something? I think John would be so bummed out that he might kill himself.
Right, yeah.
I could have.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Responsible for a death. I couldn't let that happen.
I said, don't let him leave. I mean, fire him, leave the room, and then come back in and tell him, because he'll kill himself.
I would definitely have reached for that jar of Prozac.
Right. I didn't want to hear about the binge he went on for 3 days. And afterwards, Gary walked into the office proud as a peacock. I got him, Wolf. Oh, it worked so good.
I worked so hard, and there's always a chance that something can go wrong. You can see the camera, someone could spill it. You try to tell as few people as possible.
All right, here we go.
Well, I know Gary's been working up to this for weeks.
I know, bothering me.
I thought of this.
Calling me every day.
I thought of this the Friday before we went on Christmas vacation.
And by the way, it's not even creative. It's like, hey, I'm going to take John in a room and fire him. I mean, and watch him get upset.
No,
it's not creative at all.
It's not creative, but the setup has to be done right, and I did have to run the cable through the ceiling so the camera worked.
Right.
The only thing is, supposed to tell me I have cancer. It's the only thing that could be worse.
All right, well, we'll get to that. We got to figure out a funny way to do it.
Where does the cable have to be run?
Yeah. Up his butt. All right, here we go.
Shut the door.
I'm wired, by the way.
Yeah. I know. Is that you whispering?
Yeah. All about it. He's like De Niro.
Are you nervous or something?
Let me tell you something. This is so elaborate that I had Kathy come and put papers on every chair except for the one I wanted John to sit in.
Right.
Yeah, those boxes. No, that's why that was.
We put boxes on everything, so John can only sit in the one chair.
Right, because you had a camera.
We would get the best camera.
That was smart.
What I do? Well, sit down, I'll tell you.
What I do.
So.
What I do.
Guilty.
Guilty already.
So I guess, remember that whole thing that went on like at Christmas time?
You sound nervous yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
That's why I'm like, oh,
but that's great, because Gary would have terrible time firing somebody.
I told him, I said,
not really.
I don't know if we had left it in at one point. I go, John, my heart's pounding. I knew something was wrong.
And you called me about the book.
Yeah.
Right? Read the whole book, and you said you weren't doing everything. Somehow it ended up on Buckwald's desk. right? This whole proposal. Right? And I sat down with Howard, and I told him that. You know what I'm saying? I said, this I called you about this a couple of months ago, but like Buchwald flipped over. Flipped over.
See, Buchwald's my agent.
Yeah.
So, Gary blamed it that Buchwald was flipping out. Which is good. So Buchwald's flipping out. Howard then learned of it. He's flipping out. And John's panicking.
And Gary's heart's pounding.
Yeah. And Gary sounds like the one being fired.
When you end up on Buchwald's desk?
Sometime last week.
How could that be?
I have no idea. But Buchwald flipped over it, and Howard flipped over it.
Yeah, I have it on paper. A firing of that guy as soon as Christmas that thing happened.
I know.
He sounds like Cato Kaler.
Listen
to him explaining himself.
At least
I find it good.
I have it on paper.
No one even knows what he's talking about. You never know what John's talking about. You never know what he's talking about.
All non-sequiturs.
Right? And you had no idea what he was talking about.
I had a vague idea, but...
I gotta hear that again.
I'm saying I fired the guy ever since that fiasco.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly clear. It's like... Hey, John, can you explain that to me?
I don't understand.
Listen to this.
How could that be?
Yeah, listen to this explanation again. But
I have no idea. But Buchwald flipped over it, and Howard flipped over it.
Yeah, I have it on paper. A firing of that guy as soon as Christmas that thing happened.
I know.
I fired on paper.
I fired.
He said he fired on paper.
He has keywords. Fired, paper, Christmas.
I know.
And I just go, I know.
Yeah, I know.
No, you don't.
No one knows. You don't even know what he's saying.
Christmas happened.
Fire, Christmas, paper. Fire, Christmas happened. Soon as Christmas, that thing happened. Well, I gotta hear that again.
Fired on paper. A firing of that guy as soon as Christmas that thing happened.
I know. And
I know.
I don't know if, like, Howard's trying to make an example or something, but I think that, like, he's just sort of like... He told me he's going to come and talk to you, but basically he told me, like, he's going to let you go. Although he said he'd still use you for interviews and stuff from time to time. But I think that I couldn't really say anything because I feel like my ass is on the line. I'm treading on dangerous water myself, and I couldn't really say anything because
I'm treading on dangerous water myself.
He's barely as coherent as I am.
I know. It's two incoherent guys with a job.
What is Gary talking about?
It's like, Gary has to fire you, but he's not clear why he's firing you, and you're not clear on what you're answering.
I think Howard's going to talk to you and he's going to let you go, but he will use you on interviews occasionally.
Well, see, I knew that was a write-off. Like,
right. That was just being nice.
Yeah. He'll never hear from you again.
Meanwhile, Gary's treading himself.
He's treading on thin water.
I'm treading, Wolf. I'm doing the dog paddle.
I'm skating on thin water.
Somehow that never sounds right when he uses those
He never
words.
gets them quite right.
He's always like, I'm treading on dangerous water.
But he's
always treading.
Isn't it treading on, what is it?
It's actually, you're skating on thin ice is what he's trying to say.
And treading on what?
Where there's smoke, there's wall paint.
Treading
on dangerous ground? Would that be?
No. Treading on
thin water.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Dangerous ground.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. It always sounds wrong.
Gary always
I thought it was just treading water. I'm treading water. No.
I don't know what he's saying.
Well, hey, listen, I wouldn't attempt it if I didn't know.
As stupid as I am, your choice is bad.
Gary's treading, John's treading.
Fire, Christmas paper.
He asked me about the T-shirt and about what went on in Dallas and what went on in Atlantic City and stuff. And, he just said, listen, I think John's a great guy, but it's just too much. He goes, it's just too much. He's out there. But you know what it is? It's not the book. It's everything that led up to it. And this is just like tips it off. And you're right. You're absolutely right. It's not.
Just tips it off. Gary is full of non-sequiturs.
I'm trying to make,
what are you trying to say there?
It's a cliche.
Tipped it over the edge is what I meant to say. Just
tips it off.
I'm skating on thin ice, and this just tips it off.
But I think that I think he's trying to say last call.
We called him about that too.
But he's really unhappy about that the way that turned out. that he feels like we're all like hanging on his name and stuff. I can't. I mean, I'm flipped out because you're like one of my best friends, and what can I say?
And I'm gonna be sorry.
What can I say? You know, I said, hey, you know, give me one more chance. And I was like, one more chance. You know, he's like, listen, he goes, it's not only me.
You're a pussy. Why don't you just fire the guy?
Yeah, why do you think you're gonna come talk?
Hey, let it
Everything
unfold.
Howard.
Well, because I'm not firing him.
But if you ever have to fire him, you fire him.
I will fire him.
No, don't blame Howard. I want him.
Let me ask you something. Why is he saying Howard's going to talk to John?
It's all coming up, Rob. Why don't you listen to the end?
Come on, give the guy a break.
I just wanted to know.
Because we're listening. Because at one point...
It's part of his way of revealing.
And at one point, Robin, be quiet.
I'm talking to Howard.
At one point, Howard was actually going to come and watch it on the monitor, and he thought he might come in.
Yeah, no, this was a setup. All
right.
And also, it keeps John hanging around. We didn't want him leaving.
Right.
It's gone. They just feel like it's almost like as if you're dangerous, that you can't be controlled. They feel like everybody, you know, even me and you and Gorilla and everybody's out there doing stuff, and it's just bumming them out. And I know he said he would send you out on some interviews, you know, possibly in the future. I mean, I think he's going to cool off about this. I don't know what will happen, but I know tonight he's not going to send you out on that thing. I guess he's gonna send Grillo and somebody get a hold of Vic.
Stuttering Vic.
Oh. That's the clincher.
I don't know what to say. I mean, what are you gonna do?
No, man. 7 years I've been here.
It's his career. 7 years. 7 years.
7 years of my life.
Oh, man.
100%. Voted 100%.
Yeah, he voted 100%.
See, Gorilla told me before I went in, like, you know, Johnny, maybe it's an April Fool's joke, but I said, nah, Howard wouldn't sit on the air and all that. This is definitely not an April Fool's joke.
Oh, yes.
I tried to do everything.
You know what the problem is? I mean, I could smell it coming for one of us. You know,
smell it.
I guess it's, I mean,
He's always smelling stuff.
Smell it coming because it was tipping it off.
In the water.
The water was
When I was
thin.
skating on thin ground.
On thin water.
it could have just as easily been me. Hold on a second. I know he wants to come down. I mean, he doesn't want this to be hard feelings, so he wants to come down and he's going to come down and just hang, you know, just like...
That's me faking out of dialing the phone to get him to come down.
Yeah, we're in the guest lounge. All right, cool. He's going to come down. He just wants to, like, you know how Howard is. He doesn't like confrontation, but I think he appreciates what you've done over the years.
Not really.
He wants to, you know, I think he just wants to give you a good send-off.
Well,
Listen, if I were you, I'd be cool. And just shake his hand and be cool because don't slam any doors. You know what I'm saying?
Trash me, yeah. And
at some point he's going to have to say, discuss it, but I don't think he'll hammer you. I mean, he'll just say, hey, you know what? We did our time together, and it just, became a part. I mean, one thing Howard's really cool about, he wouldn't trash you because he knows that you're going to try to go out there and make a living and stuff and do something. Then you can hook up with Conan and get rid of that guy that's still All right. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
I'd rather not work.
So now I leave.
Yeah.
Right? And then I come back and I tell him that you don't want to talk to him.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm sorry, man. Don't hold this against me.
So I walked out and then I come right back.
Getting fired from a job he makes no money at.
And he's bummed.
Yeah.
So he was going to come down, but he's not going to come down. He said, but he's not mad, you know.
I just don't have time to say goodbye.
I swear to God, I tried to do everything. I didn't want to do anything, at all. I mean,
Well, how are you? I mean, you're in pretty good shape, financially, right? I mean, I know you're in an apartment and stuff, but I mean, you're doing okay in the stock market and stuff.
Not really. After this fiasco, I don't even have. The only guy we have is Adam.
Right.
What do you say?
He said the only guy we have is Adam. We just had some trouble in the stock market.
Oh,
John and I just earlier.
This is all perfect. Everything's going on here.
John just took a hint, so that's not working out.
Even the stock market isn't working out.
And then I was with my brother all weekend. He was yelling at me for paying too much for an apartment. So it's like all just coming in my head, like, oh no.
Right. Now I really screwed up.
Right, but I mean,
The little money you had from this show is not even coming in.
And you still have the deal. You still have the other record deal, right? And you got the publishing deal and stuff. You still got all that stuff.
That's done now. That's just, give you one advance.
But I mean, you're going to do another record, right?
I don't know.
Right now he's not on the show.
But I'm telling him, at least you got this, and he doesn't have any of it.
Yeah. So it turns out he has nothing.
Now, I mean, he's down to mumbling.
At this point, I'm in the fetal position.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I can't wait to watch this on the E! Show.
Because I saw that sitting up, and I slowly, cowered.
I don't know, man. My clothes are rented, man. All of a sudden, all the ugly truth comes out.
It's not my own teeth.
It's all a pyramid scheme. It's all crumbling.
I don't know, man.
It's just, it's just, I really try to do everything by the book. I went up to him, I talked to him, he told me not to do it. I called them, and they sent me some proposal. I called him, I said, dude, you can't do. Sent them a letter. I still have have a letter firing the guy.
You still have the letter?
Yeah, and I don't know how this could have happened. I don't know how that could have got anywhere. I have a letter firing the guy, and then I called you that weekend and told you what had happened.
Right, there was a Christmas.
And I called Robin. Remember, she
freaked out on you.
And then you talked to Howard, and then he said, "We'll talk." All right, and then.
What do you think Karen's going to say? She's going to be bummed out.
Goodbye. Goodbye. It's so long. I'm not your girlfriend anymore.
I go with the show.
Yeah. You with Grillo. Yeah, I'm dating Grillo now.
I think your best bet is to sort of regroup, take it easy. I don't know what's going to go on in this, and I can tell you, if I could give you 2 words of advice.
Uh-oh, here comes his reveal.
Soliloquy, 2 words.
He's gonna show him the camera. Come on. You should have him suffer more.
I know, but it was.
Yeah, he's not twisting enough.
He's twisting pretty good.
If I could give you 2 words of advice, don't brush, and then you get bad teeth, and someone else will hire you like they hire me.
So the camera's in the speaker, and I said, if I give you 2 words of advice, and I pull the speaker down so you can see the camera, and I say this.
I think the best 2 words I can give you is Gary Puppet.
Gary's so proud of that. He goes, Gary Puppet.
It's like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, right. Like, hey, Gary Puppet, wolf. I have 2 words of advice. Gary Puppet.
I have 2 words of advice. You can smell it coming.
You're a dick. No, you're a dick.
You know what?
We're done.
Great joke. Great joke. I mean, I'm not going to hate you for the rest of your life like you hate me.
Come on back here. Come on. I've been planning this since Christmas, and I wasn't even gonna do this to you. And then, after you stole the puppet, I was thinking of a way to get back here. I wasn't gonna do this to you, and then you did the thing where I lost all my money. Now,
what thing?
With the stockbrokers. Sit down, man. And I didn't leave you hanging all week. We were going to leave you hanging for a day. Howard thought that was too cruel. So I let your entire misery lasted 10.5 minutes.
No, my entire misery started around 9:30.
But okay, all right. My entire misery was an entire weekend long.
You were still in shock, weren't you?
Yeah, I couldn't snap out of it.
You weren't even sure if you were fired still.
Yeah, I was in a cocoon.
All right.
Yeah, because he still doesn't sound happy.
No, not at all. Now I don't know whether
to get your job back. You don't need to celebrate it.
I don't know whether to hate Gary or I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah. You don't know what to say. Because Gary immediately goes, okay, now we're even. And we're never playing practical jokes on each other again. And I know John's already planning his next one.
Something up his sleeve.
Well, I already got another one for John.
Because John came down with me yesterday and said, guess what I'm going to do. And the way he told me his next one, and it's awful. It was
the one that I refrained from doing because I thought it would be too cruel.
Yeah.
I got another one for you. I was going to get you with 2 since you got me with 2, but I let it be.
Right. He has another one planned on you, so.
An awesome one.
Yeah.
He's going to get to the point where they'll be shooting at
Yeah, right. See, Gary hired a hitman to come kill you. But it's only a goof.
And then another whole day when I thought I lost all my money.
But it was Gary.
What's wrong? But isn't this funny?
It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's perfect.
And then what? Is that it? Are we done? Or now you got to get me back?
No, I mean, my next one's going to be on Scotty. You already know.
Okay, but you done with me now?
Is that right? You got one on Scott coming up?
Yeah.
The cruelest of all.
Really? Shh, don't say it. I want to hear it.
Of course, he won't be looking for it now.
You know,
It wouldn't matter.
What's funny to me is Scott will have to dub it off, whatever.
Yeah. Scott will have to make a copy of it so it'll be ready for the air. That's pretty funny, John. Especially your explanation to Gary.
A Christmas paper. Fire.
Now, John, if it's 5 practical jokes to 1, why would you be planning another one?
Because that's what he does.
No, you know, on the tape, on the tape, I said, I go, well, if Howard wants me to stop doing them, I'll stop doing them.
Oh yeah, like Howard's feeding you the ideas.
No, man.
You get an idea.
Do what you want to do. I don't care.
They just occurred naturally to John.
John gets an idea and he goes to Howard. Howard goes, yeah, do whatever you want.
I don't even want to know about it. Just do it. We'll be back right after these words.